Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala sayyidil anbiya wal mursaleen. Wa ba'd. Validation is something that we all crave. We all wish to be observed, noticed, appreciated. And the beauty of Islam is whenever there's a culture, whenever there's a civilization, it fits in very seamlessly. That's why if you look at Islam throughout the world today, there are so many different shades and colors, people dressing differently, people behaving differently, the structure and architecture of Masjid, very different. And that's one of the beauties of Islam. But what's so beautiful about Islam is the core of Islam never changes. It's the aesthetic, it's the outward that sometimes can take different forms depending on different cultures. If you go to China and you look at some of the masajid, and then you go to Damascus and you look at some of the masajid, you go to the subcontinent and you look at the masajid, the architecture may be different, the style of dressing may be different, but everyone's kalima of La ilaha illallah is still the same. Everyone is still praying 4 raka'at of dhuhr, 2 raka'at of fajr. Everyone is still reading the same Quran in Ramadan. And that is the beauty of Islam, that amidst the diversity and changes and different approaches and cultures, Islam maintains its authenticity and reliability. And the reason I say this is, as Islam can adapt to certain cultures in terms of its outward manifestation, the internal, the center of Islam always remains the same. So if I'm in a workplace, there's nothing wrong in dressing like everyone else. If I'm having fun playing sports, there's nothing wrong playing sports like everyone else. But there are certain essentials of Islam that I'll never compromise on. If everybody's going out for a work meeting, but they're all consuming alcohol, I'm going to have to kindly and politely say, unfortunately, this is not what I do. If everybody's shaking hands with the boss, and the boss is a female, and I'm a male, I'll say, with all due respect, I respect you, I appreciate what you're doing, but we avoid physical contact with the opposite gender in most circumstances. On one occasion, one Sahabi radiallahu anhu, he was among a group of non-Muslims. And these non-Muslims were very elite. The Sahabi's name was Ma'aqil ibn Yasar. The narration is found in Sunan ibn Majah. So two Sahaba, they're sitting together and they're invited. For instance, you know how sometimes you have like the White House iftar and a lot of wealthy and a lot of influential people over there, the president, the vice president, everybody surrounded together. That time you had a dihqan, you had a very wealthy person of one of the tribes. He invited these Sahaba who were visiting the lands. And they're all eating. And the Sahabi Ma'aqil ibn Yasar, as he's eating, he's taking a bite and the morsel of food falls from his hand. So he picks it up and he blows on it. He says Bismillah and he eats it. The person next to him, he was very self-conscious, so he nudges him on the side and he says, Ya Ma'aqil, look, all of these influential people are looking at you. I understand you have, the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, but isn't there a context? Isn't there a way to be a bit more mindful? And he said to him, he whispered back to him saying, listen, you understood me wrong if you think for the validation of these people, I'm going to leave out the sunnah of my Habib sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I will continue to do what I feel is right when it relates to the essentials and the core of my Islam. Yes, if there are certain things we have to do differently, we have to speak a different language, they want me to eat a different style of food, they want to make the architecture different, the dressing different, that's fine. Those are the aesthetics. But the core of Islam, that's something we never compromise on. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our faith. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to show the beauty and the culture of Islam while never changing its fundamentals. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.